Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday. Oh, yeah, it's Friday. Hello. If you're here with me in the Discord or the YouTube or in the X or Kick or wherever you are, say good morning. Let's see who's with us here this early on this morning. We have Jay Prowse, Hockey Shane, Fat Guy, July Pepper, Cyrus, SW, Skunk, Abe, Mike. Good morning. Mike, Jet Bear, Salty, Rips, Mod, Savannah, Sam, Scott, H. Ray Williams, Lucho, Paolo, Randy, Coach Steve, David, Denver Cups, Rafal, Ryan, John, Marco, Triple C, Clicks, Eddie's Bong, DS Trade, Shelly Trace, Gary. Thank you, 21 Handles, for the gifted. Appreciate that, buddy. We've got Lepitapi, X Blue, Yama Yappa, Fag Out West, Dead Cat Bounce, A Craig, Trade for Ticks, Ace Trades, Davey Guy, Yolanda, 21 Handles, Brian, Ivan, morning to you, Tomoki, Stoley, Justin Prowse, Recklaw, Z Wheat, Nolerman, Eddie, Laz, Tattoo, NQ, Vexo, Espresso. Good morning, everybody. Hello. How are we doing this fine morning? The NQ is doing some things. I did end up taking a trade last night. If you caught the kick stream. Who's coughing? Somebody's having a coughing fit on the squawks right now. Knock it off. Turn off your microphone, you dingus. What was that 200-point drop? Well, that was a Trump tweet. Well, not a Trump tweet, but Trump talking about how he's going to tariff the pants off of Canada starting August 1st. A 35% tariff, no less. You see the exact report on that. That's what caused that drop. I was sitting on my couch relaxing when that happened, and then I traded the afterglow of it, which I'll show shortly here. PM Carney said committed to work with the U.S. on trade talks to revise deadline of August 1st. So he made a statement on X. But before that, what caused the drop? Let me find it here. Got to go through all these headlines here. We are just going to say to all remaining countries they're going to pay tariffs, whether it's 20% or 15%. He imposed a 35% tariff on all goods from Canada starting August 21st, citing his tariff letter. There you go. So that's what that was. That was a big one. See if we got, there we go. Pin that message right there. And pin that one right there. Thank you. Do we have a leaderboard now on YouTube? Is that functional? Or is that still that I didn't get that yet? Let's see. I got to see this. Let's see if it's actually working. Nope. Still don't see the stupid leaderboard thing. Kind of ridiculous. Do you think rockets only go very high if everyone already cashed out? It's completely random. Completely random. If you use code RIPS, you get free money there, Captain Jim. Where it says airdrop, you put in code RIPS. You get free money every hour. Yeah, they sent me an email. My rep was like, yeah, they tested out the leaderboard in other countries. And I don't know. Apparently, they never gave it to me. And then they said they gave it to me. And now I still don't see it. So who knows? I don't know. Whatever. Jay Cryptic says, made 1100 last night off the news and then got the kick notification. Never been so excited to see your P&L. I mean, it could have been if I was actually here for this whole thing. I was on my couch. I caught the afterglow of it, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. Wait for more people to come in so everybody doesn't come in 20 minutes. They go, hey, did you see the drop from yesterday? So I like to wait that. No, leaderboard on YouTube, meaning that the people chatting in get points. People chatting in get points on YouTube and then they can redeem them for something. I don't know, but I don't know. They rolled it out to a bunch of lower tier streamers, and I don't know. I think it's people from other countries or something like that. Who knows? I have no idea. I never know these things. That drop got me a payout, but also blew another account. I'll call it break even. What happened? You were, I'm guessing you were long trading the NASDAQ or the S&P. I'm guessing you were long. What is hedging? So if you have, I'll try to get very technical, and this is for you, Miriam. Try to follow me on this one. All right. So imagine that you're in your house and you have a beautiful walkway going outside of your front door. There's these things that they call, they're green and they come from the ground. They call them bushes. And what you do is you hire a gardener and they trim these bushes and they make them into shapes that are much more pleasant for the eyes. And what that gardener's actions are called is hedging. They're hedging. And those things that they're hedging are called hedges. That's what hedging is. Exactly. Yeah. SW just posted a GIF of that. That's what that is. Is that what you're talking about? I'm assuming. Otter says, can you believe that I watched that drop last night? First saw it down 100 points. I was like, nah, it won't go lower. Go lower and watch it go down another 130. That's one of the things where it's like, it's tremendously helpful to have skills in reading order flow. I mean, we cranked it down. We got to this curve bubble. That's the part I traded. We'll talk about it again shortly, but we bounced right back to the weekly open and then almost made it back down to the previous week mid again. So Miriam says, thanks a lot. Hedging is when you're talking about like hedging your bets. So for instance, let's say that I am long the equities in Apple. I have 10,000 shares of Apple, right? So for every 100 shares of Apple that I have, if I want to hedge my bets, I could buy insurance on those, buying one contract for every 100 shares of Apple that I have, in options, puts. That would be hedging in a way. That's an example. Another example would be doing some type of hedging where if you are long a basket of equities that are all tech related, you could be short the NASDAQ to hedge those long bets. There's another variation of it. At Top Step data feed all jacked up and no one could see the charts. I think they made it right by they wiped anybody who had a losing day, I think, yesterday. I'm pretty sure. I have no idea. Those are the reports I saw. They usually make it right. If there's ever any type of platform issues, like I said, somebody asked me when we were doing an IRL stream what I thought about Top Step, and because they're like, oh, you don't trade on Top Step anymore. I was like, nah, I've never had any issues on Top Step. I traded on Top Step for nearly 2 years straight. That was the only firm I traded with for 2 years. Now we're spreading our wings and we're seeing what else is out there. And we're seeing all these different other prop firms and seeing who we can get paid out from, how long it takes to get paid out. I'll be trading on some new firms next week as well, because we're finally launching our brand that we've been working on. It's not a prop firm. Before you start asking, what do you mean a new brand? Is that a prop firm? You start, no. It's related to the prop firm space, but it's not. No, it's not a prop firm. What about in futures trading? Well, you could be hedging by, give me the exact context that you're looking for, Miriam. Get very specific, because then I can talk about it. Because, another variation of hedging would be, you could be long both the S&P and the NASDAQ, but then be hedging by bringing a play in with bonds. There's a lot of different ways to hedge in futures. So be very specific. Top Step removed my negative trades because of chart issues. I made 5K. There you go. Great. Yeah. But anyway, back to what I was saying. People have asked me multiple times, like, oh, do you think Top Step is a good firm? I do. I think Top Step is a great firm. I never had, in the 2 years that I traded with them, like literally only traded with them, never had a single issue. So from my own experience, it is impossible for me to be honest with you and in the same sentence say something bad about Top Step, because I've never had a bad experience on Top Step. Personally, I only have had good experiences with Top Step, and that's my experience with them, and that's all I can say about them. So if you're asking me about Top Step, I will always say good things about them as a firm, and I do recommend them. So, but I also recommend other firms. I've been trading with Apex, TPT, Tradeify. If you watch the stream, I traded on Tradeify. I've received 2 payouts from Tradeify, and they paid me that second payout in under 2 minutes, which was quite impressive. Rips making killer content than an effing commercial. Ryan, you know how we can fix that? Do you know how we can fix that? Do you know how we can fix that? Ripsmod is gonna drop a link for you, and you can mosey on over to where Ripsmod will drop a link. What's SMB? SMB income? Top Step is great. They rectified the platform issues causing losses. Top-notch customer care. Agree. And that's how it should be. Although I don't even know if it was exclusive to their platform, because I had bookmap issues that cost me $8,000 off the open yesterday. Thank goodness we were able to make a $10,000 follow-up trade, but by golly, that's real money, you know? It was everywhere, not just Top Step. Exactly. Yolanda, by the way, did you get it sorted with the, did you find out if you ended up, we're talking to like the fake Rips at some point, the Rips private account, which was totally not me and completely fake? Yeah, that's probably what it was. A lot of people were talking to that fake Rips account. It's crazy that it took Twitter that long, or X, it took them that long to remove this stupid fake account. It's really annoying. Ever thought about vlogging? We are going to be doing a lot of vlogging here shortly. I'm just waiting for the WSOP to wrap up, because the team that I'm going to be working with is doing a lot of content surrounding the WSOP right now, and they're very busy. You checked out the power bank I sent you? I have a bunch of power banks right now, and I think that I might have the one that you suggested. I just got an Anchor power bank, so, you know, I'm pretty sure it's probably very similar. Oh, did I miss your question there, Miriam? Let's see. Future hedging in NQ on one account. Let me see if I can check your history here. Future trading hedging in NQ one account. Like, elite traders have strict rules against hedging future trading hedging in NQ. No, so what? Okay, so what they don't want you to do is go long in the NQ and then short in the S&P simultaneously, and then closing which one ever doesn't work, because that's not real trading. You're just kind of doing something stupid. Or even worse, you're long NQ and then you're short the micro NQ. So like you're long 2 lots in the mini, the NQ mini, and then you're short 20 contracts in the micro. That's not trading. That's trying to scam a system. That's called sucking on a bag of stupid. So don't do that. Richard Harris is here. Well, hello. Happy Friday to you, Richard Harris. It's a pleasure to see you here. Richard Harris, why do you never come to Kick? You know it's a party in there, right? You know it's so much fun. Ali says, how are you selling? What would you like me to sell? Because I am not selling anything right now. But I don't know. What would you like me to sell? Most of the times it's long on one account, short. That's another one too. Here's the question you have to ask yourself. Am I actually trading like a trader does? Or am I trying to scam this rule set for this prop firm so that I can get paid because I'm so desperate for money? If you're doing the latter, well, chances are you're not going to last very long. You know what I mean? Oh, my name's selling. Ah, I get it. Well, around these parts, people either call me by my streaming name, which is Rips, my nickname, Rips, We just dropped the selling part, or you can call me by my legal name, my given birth name, which, as you know, Jamarcus McLesterson is my full name. Either one works. I just don't really go by selling. But hey, if you want to call me selling, let's do it. Is that a law to not short micro and long mini, or only a rule on prop firm? No. You can do whatever you want in your own account. I'm unfamiliar with it because like I would never like, let me look into these obscure weird laws of things I'm never going to do. But I do not know. I don't know if, so there's a thing called boxing in small caps. And this is not BS, by the way. There's a thing called boxing where you can go long in one account to hedge like an overnight short. I did this like maybe twice where you just have like your one account doing one thing, and like you have an account over at one broker and another account, and you're like short an equity, and then like overnight you don't want to get clapped, so you kind of hedge it, like you take 30% or 50% of your position long overnight. It's called boxing, but yeah. Anyway. Earlier this week, we didn't lock up after $500 profit and then lost it all back in New York session. Learning to stick to what I'm good at and not changing a thing. Trade London only, lock out after 1 to 3 trades. That's beautiful. That's quite lovely. That is wonderful. Richard Harris says, I'll go check out Kick. I typically don't do Discords and much else except YouTube while trading. It's not a Discord. It has nothing to do with a Discord. It's a better version of YouTube for streaming. It's quite possibly 1,000 times better than YouTube. And also, I was live on Kick for over 6 hours yesterday compared to, I think we were live on YouTube for like an hour. Who knows? Everybody's talking about you over on Kick right now, Richard. They all want to see you over there. Let's see here. What happened to that phrase last summer when everyone was calling you ribs? Oh, I don't know. I think we got tired of the barbecue jokes. By the way, there is absolutely positively no news coming out today, and I wish there was, but we're probably just going to have to try to trade the open. And once we get a couple more people in here towards the bottom of the hour, I will talk about the trade that I took yesterday in the Globex session. Yeah, absolutely no news. We have the Canadian unemployment rate coming at the bottom of the hour, but as you know, nobody really truly cares in the American markets what those silly Canadians are doing. So we'll just ignore that. We do get the WASD report if you do trade grains or crops of any sort. And then we do get at 2 p.m. the June federal budget balance. But if you think anybody's going to be trading 2 p.m. on a summer Friday, I think you're wrong. Let's see here. Most prop do not allow you to be long and short at the same time on the same index. Correct. That is correct. I mean, almost every prop. 53-day win streak now in Tradeify straight to fund. Let's go, Living Like Chess. That is amazing. Congratulations. X-Blader says, I mean, I know traders that will take puts on SPY, for instance, that may be a couple weeks out while longing MES in their personal. Yeah, for sure. That's totally normal. 100%. There's a ton of different ways to hedge, and there's nothing wrong with it. All you're doing is like, it's kind of like reducing the size in your position without actually doing it. I had a very successful hedge that turned into my main position, which we've talked about multiple times when I was trading the ARCs during COVID. I ended up buying the top of the ARCs before they had their major downfall. And I mean, I literally was like within a day of buying the exact top of where all of the ARCs went. And thankfully, when I opened that position, I also opened the equal distance position in like 3-month outputs. And that position started to cook, and I bailed on equities, extended my position in the puts, and I made a ton of money doing that. It was a great trade. Went from being very negative on the equity side to very positive on the puts side. Let's see here. Logo embellished outerwear would be cool. Did you see my post about the logo embellished jeans that everybody hated? What makes you become a great traitor is identifying what you do wrong. That's true. Passed several evals, but wasn't able to reach payout. What's your take on this issue I'm having? You're probably trying to rush things a little bit too much there, Johnny. That's what I'd say, which is normal. Listen, I did it in my own personal account. We're still, I don't want to speak it into existence because it's like, that's why I withdrew money from my account. But on my personal account, I was trying to rush to the finish line of this $1 million mark, which really, again, completely and entirely meaningless. It means nothing. It doesn't change anything. It's just a number on a screen. There's nothing specific that's going to happen when and if I cross that mark, but it was causing me to rush. And that's usually what our brains tend to do, is that it's sort of like this pain avoidance mechanism that we have, where instead of being patient, we try to rush through things because we want to avoid the pain of dealing with waking up in the morning and saying, I still have to achieve this goal, or whatever the case. So when you're in your evals and you're trying to reach your payouts, you get very close to reaching those payouts and you go, gosh, this has been so exhausting and tiresome. I just want to get across the line, and you force yourself to do that. So it's one of those things that you have to kind of get over. And look, I'm 11 years into it. I found myself doing it, and I actually, I had to make a change in my process, which was withdrawing money from my account to avoid myself from doing that. I set myself up and I said, hey, if I trade 100 contracts, I'm going off the rails here. I need to do something to intercept my behavior. And the only way I could do that was reducing the amount of equity I had in my account by taking withdrawals. So 11 years in, I'm still doing that same thing. So I'm not saying it's going to be easy to conquer this, but something that you want to be cognizant of that you're doing possibly. Riley says, it's my birthday tomorrow, guys. I turned 24. I've been trading full time since I was 22, and life is great. Thankful for people like Rips who provide great free education. Riley, since it's your birthday, I'd be happy to give you 2 or 3 free months of Clubhouse. Just send me a DM if that's something that you want. Would be more than happy to do that. Could not find you on Kick. There you go. I was long in the ES when the tariff news hit. My stop loss was hit quickly. I saw the news got short, was able to make about 1,300. There's a lot more there, but I was happy with that. There you go. That's a great way to do it there, Rocket. Fantastic, actually. Very, very nice. Yeah. And that's the thing too, is as you progress as a trader, one of the things that I noticed as my journey progressed personally was that I would stop getting so upset about the moves of the market, and I learned to look for immediate opportunities. For instance, old me, we have enough people in here now, we can show the trade. Go ahead and bring this up here. Go over to the AMP account. You can see here we're up $9,000. Say, where's the trade? Where's the trade? Well, we took it in the S&Ps. There it is. So there's the trade we took in the S&Ps. So old me, I was on the couch when this happened and I didn't notice it. Thank goodness I have the Discord, because people were going crazy in the Discord about it. I don't have my squawks on me 24/7, contrary to popular belief, but that happened. Old me, and I'm talking the first years of trading. This is my 11th year. First 3 years of trading, old me just looks at this and gets really upset about it. New me says, great, I missed the main move. Let's look for the afterglow. And that was it. I looked for the first retracement and then the failure of that retracement. And I wanted to make a short into this, because usually, in my experience, this is how these patterns kind of repeat, and shorted into that and covered the lows, and that was good for about $9,500 in profit. So there you go. That was the trade that I took, but it's good to reflect on the reason why that makes sense to me now versus the trader that I was in the first 3 years. I'd get super frustrated and I'd look at a trade and I'd just be kicking myself about not being able to get that. And I'd kind of be bemoaning the idea like, oh, I'm so unlucky I didn't get that trade. Now I say, okay, great. Let's look for the afterglow and find some opportunities. There's always going to be opportunities out there. You know what I'm saying? Do you use the TraderMap Lite add-on on Bookmap, and why? I don't have many add-ons turned on for Bookmap because what happened yesterday was a glaring example of why I don't use a lot of add-ons or any add-ons on my Bookmap. Yesterday, the reason why I lost $8,000 is because I was getting bad information from Bookmap, and that caused me to make a trade in the market where the information I was receiving wasn't accurate to the actual market and what was happening. And because of that, we're talking about maybe like 2 seconds, 3 seconds of difference in the market. With the add-ons, if the market is moving very rapidly, I don't want to risk having lag because of those indicators. So that's why I don't really use indicators on my own Bookmap there. I'm going to meet the YouTuber who runs My Lunch Break again. I met him a while back in Pasadena to help him with the research of the city building there. I'm familiar with it. My dad works at JPL. Well, thank you for sharing that. A wonderful morning anecdote here on a Friday. Appreciate that very much there, Richard. Sorry, I'm driving. It was talk text. Okay, no worries. First ones are always the hardest. Once you get one payout, the pressure drops. It did for me anyway. That's a great anecdote as well. Yeah, when it's very true. When you get that pressure out of the way, it does become easier. It really does. It's very true. Do you think the mental number of 1 million was an issue? 100%. I know that it was. I back-to-back traded 100 contract positions, and it was terrifying because I was doing things that I couldn't trust myself. I went into the day not wanting to do that, and I broke a rule because I didn't trust myself. Yes, it worked out. One of the trades should have been 200K, ended up closing for like 9K or something like that. And one of the trades ended up being, like $90-something thousand in profit. It sounds great, but at the end of the day, I know myself so well that if I allow myself to profit when I can't trust myself, I'm gonna fly off the rails. So the only choice for me was reducing the account size back down to 200K, and now here we are back at 266. So very happy about it. All right, let's see what's happening with this Canadian data. Let's go to the screen here. See what's going on with the Canadian data here. I do not think the market will react sharply at all on this. I think it'll be very docile. Let's see. Building permits are out for Canada. Nobody cares. All right, folks, I'll be right back. Give me a couple minutes. Be right back with you. And we'll see if there's any follow-up to trade from the bottom of the hour here. All right, we're back. Let's see here. What did we miss in the chat? All right, we talked about the mental number. Had a nice green day yesterday and Wednesday, but my Monday and Tuesday was a disaster. That's fine. What's up, Sarl? Are you using wired internet connection for lowest lag? Yes. I have a fiber connection, and I'm always using a wired connection unless I'm trading from my phone. Steven Ducks had a $10 million day. He did. He's a ledge. If you have practical advice for losing traders, like a plan or structure followed for a year or so to be a better trader, I'd be grateful. I mean, if you go through my shorts on YouTube or on Instagram, I feel like there's a lot of helpful psychology tips on there. And I think that a lot of becoming a better trader is psychological. It's very easy to find systems that work and setups that work as far as like technical trading. But to be psychologically sound and stronger than what the market will put you through is what's very difficult, in my opinion. Let me go ahead and pop out the kick chat here. There we go. Thank you, Trading Micros, for the 10 gifted. Really appreciate that. And 21 handles for the 5 gifted. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you both. 9K pre-market is delicious. Going to trade props for Percy today. Probably not going to touch the Percy. I was talking to my wife about it. You know, obviously I share with her. I was like, yeah, I probably don't want to trade the Percy today because I don't want to go into the weekend feeling like crap. Like even like I know myself so well that even if I traded the Percy and I went like, there's two ways to look at it. Number one, let's look at it from the upside first. Let's try to be positive. If I took it from $9,000 to being up $15,000, would that change my mood and how I feel about things? No. Do I doubt that I can't make another $6,000 today? Absolutely not. If I really locked in and I pushed myself, I could probably find a way to do it. But there's another side of that coin. Trading isn't 100%. It never will be. There are things that it can go wrong. You can read the market wrong, and you can just generally be wrong in your trades. That's going to cost you. Would I feel okay if I took 9,500 to just 6,500, just a small 3K loss on this? I would probably feel like hot garbage. I'd be thinking about it at dinner tonight. I'd be thinking about it dinner tomorrow. I wouldn't be too happy about it. So the question I always ask myself is that from a personal happiness level, do I want to continue to trade that? The answer is no. That's it. No, Yolanda says, yeah, I saw you starting to crash out when you're trying to get the million. Glad you took the money out. Exactly. You got to know yourself. And that's, again, through experience and going through things that have hurt, have taught me to do those types of things. Arbitrade says, I'm a swing trader, got killed. My GBP long with 20 contracts, 1.36. I'm not a Forex trader, so yeah. CC says, trading is such an unsustainable business. Disagree. Completely disagree. I think trading is one of the most incredible things that I've come across in my entire life. 100%. Without question. I do agree that there will be some people on this earth that no matter how hard they try at trading will never be successful. I'm not trolling. I'm trying to be as serious as possible here. There are people, no matter what, no matter how hard they try, there might even be a few people watching this today. No matter how hard you push yourself, no matter how hard you try, I feel like there's a subset of people where no matter what you do, trading will never work for you. And it's sad, but I think that's the reality. I really do. And that's the reality of it. Like, the reason why, like, and I've had this discussion with friends, with my wife, with my family. There's some people, when they have risk on, they literally will sit there and they just cannot stop thinking about what that risk is. When I have put on a position, I'm never sitting there sweating what my downside is. I'm accepting of my downside. When I put on a trade, I'm completely accepting of what my downside is. And in fact, I frame my thought process not to be negative, but when I'm putting a trade on, I'm saying this trade cost me X, right? So let's just say that the risk that I have for the trade is $5,000. I'm hoping that I'm going to make money on the trade, but I'm accepting of the fact that I am risking $5,000 in the same way. And I hate to refer to gambling, but in the same way, if I take a $5,000 chip and I put that on a hand of blackjack, I do want to win, but I'm also accepting that if the dealer gets 21 and I'm dealt a 20 and they get dealt blackjack, there's nothing I can do about it. That $5,000 chip is going into their rack. That's the way it goes. But there are some people that have so much muck in their mind, so many things that get in the way of that thought process, they just cannot get over that. It's the same thing with entrepreneurs. There are some people that are not ever being able to be entrepreneurs because they cannot get over that risk idea, right? In a business, you have to spend money on employees, on insurance, on product, supply chain, advertising. You have to send money out, and there is no guarantee that money's going to come back to you in any way, shape, or form. And if you've been doing business, you've been an entrepreneur, I'm sure there's a few of you in chat, you've been an entrepreneur for long enough, you will be confronted with tons and tons and tons of failures throughout your career as being an entrepreneur. And you'll understand that, like, what it's like to, you could have, if you're selling a product, you could have the supply chain go down while you're spending a big ad budget that you can't turn off, and all of a sudden you just blew through tons of money. You had no product to ship to your customers, and boom, horrible, right? There's also great things in business where things just work out great. You have a great ad campaign. You have a great product that you put out. You have a great service that you offer that nobody else is offering. And the world opens up and it feels like it's the easiest thing in the world, right? But there's always the space between where there's nothing. It's not good. It's not bad. You're just doing your thing. And it swings either way. But I'm just saying, there's plenty of people out there who are just not born to be entrepreneurs. There's plenty of people out there that are just born not to be traders because it's so hard for them to accept risk. They'll put on risk and they'll start to see their position going red. They get so nervous, they start thinking about what that money could have bought for them. And instead of holding the position on because it was directly within their trading plan, they'll take the trade off. And now all of a sudden they're scatterbrained because the trade finally goes in the position that they wanted. They took it off early. They knew that they should have taken off early. They took a little bit of heat. And there you go. It just kind of burns you out, You have to have a high risk tolerance to be a trader, in the sense that I'm not talking about dollar amounts. I'm talking about the fact that if you are frequently putting on trades as a day trader, you're going to be confronted with that feeling of uncertainty when you're putting on risk. And it's a difficult thing for a lot of people to swallow. One of my trading buddies says exactly that. Consider your risk the cost of the trade. Exactly. And a lot of people, look, humans, we are optimistic and we are not used to being losers, in the sense that we're kind of raised to be like, there's a right way to do things, there's a wrong way to do things. And if you're doing things the wrong way, you're going to lose, right? So if you're doing things the wrong way, you should be losing. But that's not how it works in trading. You can do all the right things and still lose, but you got to be accepting of the fact of being a loser. And one of the best ways that I got over that my own self was looking at trades from the downside first, meaning that, okay, I'm going to put on this trade. If I lose $1,000, I kind of expected that. I'm not putting that energy out into the universe and saying, well, I'm going to put on a trade. I'm going to blow $1,000 right here and now. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you're going to put on a trade and you're going to say, I'm risking $1,000 on this trade. Well, trade doesn't work out. Imagine you're going long. Immediately the market flushes, stops you out. You lose $1,000. You go, yeah, that sucks. But that's what I was kind of risking on this trade. Do you know what I'm saying? That's it. Simple as that. The more simplistic you make it, the easier it is on a psychological level for you to accept the outcomes of trading. You will lose often. I did not like the fact that I lost yesterday. And there was a point in my trading, until a setup showed up that I took it, there was a point in my trading yesterday where I was sitting down around $8,000 off the open. and I was looking at my P&L, which I do not try to focus on, but I couldn't help myself because yesterday was a platform issue. And I was looking at my P&L. I said, yeah, well, sucks. Give back the day that I had before that because I made $7-something thousand the day before. But I'm accepting of it. I'm not sitting there and saying, I'm chasing these losses. I need to get it back above what? No. I waited for a setup and I took it, and it ended up being quite nice. And I ended up making money on it. If I ended my day down 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, even 3,000, whatever the case, if I end my day down, it's okay. It doesn't change anything. I'm taking trades. I'm monitoring how much mental capital I have left to spend, what my risk tolerance is for the day, how my emotions feel, and I'm observing all of these things internally. And then I'm framing what my thought process should be, and I'm executing on that. That's it. And that comes from, again, these are things that I didn't realize that I needed to do 3 years into trading, 2 years into trading, 1 year into trading. These are things I figured out, year 4, year 5, year 6, year 7. These are the things that I started to figure out. And it really comes down to not only knowing the charts and what your setups are, but knowing how you are as a person and how you're reacting. What I found out often was that I was bleeding myself dry of mental capital, right? Mental capital. And that's one thing that we don't have a lot of respect for as newer traders, is that we can psych ourselves out, because for a lot of people, trading will generate a lot of adrenaline, and it will kind of psych you out in the sense that you feel like you have mental capital, but in reality, you might be completely taxed out and tapped out of all of your mental capital, and you're in a bad situation. So it comes with time and experience in the market. If you're a couple years into your journey right now and you're super frustrated, it's okay. You'll feel like some days too that it's totally clicking, and this is early on. You'll feel like it's totally and completely clicking, and wow, I'm finally here. Oh, I finally arrived. I'm going to do this now. And then boom, you get blasted with 3 weeks of, dude, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing anymore. Right? Does that sound familiar for anybody? You think you've conquered the mountaintops, and like you're sitting there and you're like, oh, finally, I'm here. And then you get blasted with like 3 freaking weeks of like, what the hell? I thought I figured that. What is going on? You know what I'm saying? And that's part of it. I'm just being honest. That's going to be part of it. And that's, again, what separates the people who will eventually get to be traders that are consistently profitable and the people who aren't. The people who aren't will get so frustrated over that and then try to take out that frustration on the market by increasing size, going crazy, buying a bunch of challenge accounts. That's not the way to do it. You got to learn how to roll with the punches, because here's the deal. Markets are continually evolving, right? I know we joke about this all the time. Oh, there's one algorithm that powers the market. There isn't. The market is made up of its participants and their ideologies and their thoughts, right? It's a living, breathing organism. So what does that mean? Are humans stagnant and constant in all of their thoughts and ideologies? No, the world is always evolving. Look at what happened in the AI sector. The world is always evolving and changing, and therefore so are the markets. The markets will forever change, meaning that your strategy that works today might not work 3 years from now. You hear me on that? Your strategy that you have here and now today may not work 3 years from now at all. That strategy that you're trading today that has that 90% win rate could go away tomorrow. So what is the value then of being a better trader within yourself? It's learning how to roll with the punches and be psychologically sound. It's learning to find ways to adapt to the market, because the market is forever changing. The way that I traded in 2016 is a lot similar to the way that I'm trading now. But the way that I was trading in 2016 was not how I was trading during the COVID market at all. Not even close. Completely different market. Crazy market. And how I was trading in the COVID market is not even close to what I'm trading like now. There's similarities, but it's not the same. So what does that beg of you as a trader to be a professional in this game? It begs of you to be understanding, psychologically sound, and adaptive. It begs of you to be an adaptive person, an observationalist that can look at the market and say, hey, I'm not swinging well right now. I'm going to reel things back. I'm going to take things easy. I'm not going to press on the gas because things aren't going well. And here's what's crazy. One of the things that we do as humans that is just kind of mind-blowing to me now, that I actually even used to do this, was that when things started to heat up for me and I started to win more, I started to pull back a little bit. And that's ridiculous. When you're trading well, that's the time to apply pressure, right? If you noticed on my own personal account, You can see that and go back and look at every single statement, every single trade that I posted from January 21st on. You will see that I slowly scaled the account, and when the market was giving me great opportunities, I pushed the gas. We've had $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $100,000 days in the account, and I was pushing the gas when the timing was right. However, when we have a stagnant market, for instance, today, not a great market, not a great setup, I'm not mentally ready to risk money into this market because I don't feel like the setups are there for my kind of style right now. I pull things back. Would I love to have a 100K day today? Of course. But it's recognizing not only what the market is giving me, but recognizing where I am on a psychological level. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Hey. And that's what I try to talk about on this channel all the time. Because people ask me often, we had a few questions this morning. What is the best advice for a beginner? What's the best advice for this? How do I do this? What do I need to be doing to be profitable? And the answer really is you need years of time. Years and years in time. That's really it. Also for scaling up too. That's the same thing. When you're in the pocket, you're feeling right and you want to scale up, try scaling up, but do it slowly. 10%, maybe 20%. Right? That means if you're trading 10 micros, you're trading 11. You're trying to trade 11 or 12, 20%, right? This indicator is called Spaceman BTC Key Level, but I think it's called Key Level Spaceman BTC now. Let's check. Spaceman. Key Levels Spaceman BTC is what it is now called. And I don't want to click that because the version I have is apparently better. I don't know. You won't get this knowledge anywhere. I appreciate that. I mean, I'm sure you can, but you know. It's Friday too. And you know what? People will come in here and be like, does this guy ever trade? Well, dude, part of being a good trader, I never say that I'm a good trader. Look, I'm just trying like everybody else, but part of being a good trader is not taking trades all the time. Maybe that's your MO. Maybe you're built like a high frequency trading algorithm. I don't know who you are, but for me personally, if you come and watch my stream all day and I don't take any trades and you have an issue with that, well, I'm probably not the trader that you want to be listening to. I get so frustrated staring at the chart and it's not moving during consolidation. Any tips? I'm guessing that's when you have a position on, right, S9? I know those feelings because I've been in a position where, I mean, I'm thinking back to, there was times during the COVID market, I would sit there and wait for first consolidation and then we get consolidation through the end of the day. For instance, let me see, we have a ticker that did that recently. I feel like, okay, here's a good example. Look. Equities, right? Here's a good example. Google comes up, we get that first pullback down to the previous week mid, and you're looking to get to the weekly open, and this is what you're blessed with through the end of the day. So that is, what time is this? 2 o'clock until 4 o'clock. 2 o'clock until 4 o'clock. So 2 hours of straight consolidation, and you're talking about like in a 50-cent range. It is extremely frustrating, especially when you have a trade idea and it's not working. And then worse is like if you're long from here and it starts to roll out of bed and then you kind of cover your position and it reclaims that previous week mid. I mean, that's not a good thing to be doing, but I'm just saying, let's just look from the worst perspective. You're long from here, it starts to fail, you cover, and now it's back up and you're like, okay, this is going to be the breakout. You go long again and then it just kind of fails into the close. Extremely frustrating. But that's going to be trading some of the times. Like you're going to end up with consolidation. All that matters is that did you go into the trade with a plan, number one, and are you respecting your plan, number two? That's it. If you're following those two things, there's not much more because at the end of the day, you have zero control over the movement of the market unless you have millions of dollars in your trading account. Then you can slightly move the market, but if you're talking about a big old equity like Google, good luck. You're not going to move the market unless it's entirely thin and there's some weird thing going on where there's hedge funds that are like not trying to sell here for some reason, right? So yeah, I do understand the frustration. I've been there before. And it's just, dude, I've been in consolidations that last for the entire day. Like, let's just say like this rip happened like here, and then you're consolidating all day. And it's entirely frustrating, especially when you want the market to do something. What's even worse is when you're in consolidation and it's Friday and you're playing 0 DTEs and you're hoping for a breakout, and all that's happening is theta is just eating away at your position. I've been there in so many different ways, shapes, and forms. And yes, I do understand your frustration. But again, I go back to those 2 rules. Am I trading my plan? Am I following that trading plan? If you can answer yes to those enthusiastically, then great. You're doing the right thing. Thank you, CubeQ, for the gift. Appreciate you, buddy. See what I missed here. Arnold says, you just talked me off tilt. I almost blew up my account. Hopefully, I did something right there. Good. Hey, Rose, for the time you start your trading, why don't you wait for the market open at 9:30? Sometimes there's opportunities at 8:30. For instance, we can have CPI, PPI, PMI. You can get a lot of different things that happen. PCE that happen all at 8:30. And maybe sometimes I will trade the print. Sometimes I'll trade the afterglow of the print. But it's all, again, situational. Oh, when do I take my first trade? Oh, 8:30 on the dot every day. No, never. Again, we go back to what I was saying just moments ago. The market is a living, breathing organism that's controlled entirely by its participants and what their ideologies are for that given day. Like, for instance, the market dropped heavily yesterday because we had some breaking news about Trump doing some tariffs. Like, this is like, if this happened at 8:30, like, let's just say we're sitting here and this is, or let's just say right now, in this moment, this starts to happen and I start hearing the squawks about this, I'm going to go so heavy net short into this position, it's going to be absurd. And that is going to be the market gifting me multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars, because that's a trade that I'm okay with putting 100 contracts on. And let's just say that we caught the full 100, we get in an average at like, just say 23,000. Then I start to cover maybe on the break of 900. So that's 100 points. That'd be a $200,000 trade. Now, is that happening right now? No. But if it was happening right now, you can bet your sweet dollar that I'd be in that trade and I'd be getting blessed by the market with 200K. And then the uninformed trader would say, well, why don't you do that every day? Because it doesn't happen every day. Well, why didn't you do it last night? Wasn't at my trading terminal. You know, you take what you can get when you get it. That's it. If you start to frame your mindset with the market that you're saying, I'm going to be involved myself. I'm going to be involving myself with the market, and I'm going to trade my best when the market is here. That's all you can really do, right? If I'm in front of my trading screen at that time, maybe I catch it. After hours, a little bit dicey, but you know, if that kind of move and that kind of squawk happened during regular trading hours, hey, it might not have even been that much of a drop. Maybe during regular trading hours, there's so many people that are willing to buy the market where they started to buy it from here and here. Let's just split hairs and say they buy it at the previous month high. Maybe it doesn't drop all that way, right? Because there's more liquidity at that time. So again, all dependent, Andy, all dependent. From your experience, do these consolidations happen normally after big overnight moves? Again, it's dependent. If we have a big overnight move and then the next day there are breaking news headlines that are specific to whatever the news was that caused the big move, or even something entirely different, you could have another big move. For instance, what do you think right now would happen to the NQ if there was a Trump tweet or a news break or Bessent came out, somebody came out and said, hey, by the way, because we've had successful trade talks with Canada, we are hereby canceling the August 1st tariffs and we're going back to zero. What do you think would happen right now? The market would go firecrackers, right? It would go ballistic. Is there anything that I can do to say, hey, I knew that was happening? Of course not, unless I have some kind of inside information, right? You know, what's going on with crypto right now? Boom, 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 spot crypto. There we go. Oh, nice little pullback there, huh? I'm surprised we didn't hit 120 evens yet. Crazy. How often do you get insider information? Every single day. It's how I actually make money as a trader. That's the secret. Ribs, may I ask, how do you deal with frustration? I feel like there's a lot of frustration in poker as well, and you deal with very well with both of them. For example, frustration of not taking a trade, or frustration of exiting a trade and profit too early, exiting in a loss for it to go to profit. Time and experience. You go through things enough time, they start to be less significant. For instance, when you take one trade and you've only taken one trade of in your trading career, that represents 100% of your trading history. As time passes, you take more and more trades. Let's just say that in my trading career, I've taken 25,000 trades. I think it's probably way more than that. But let's just say I've taken 25,000 trades in my trading career. Well, one trade would represent 0.004% of my entire trading career. So it's very easy to be less frustrated about something that is insignificant to your trading career. What I care about now is when I'm doing things that don't follow my trading plan. Exactly what we were talking about earlier. When I traded 100 contracts back-to-back days, that was a sign for me that I am out of control. I'm chasing something that is just so stupid, and that can potentially get me into trouble. For instance, let's imagine that I had those 100 contracts on, and all of a sudden there's a tweet, and for some reason, some kind of platform glitch happens, and I'm 100 contracts long, and the bottom falls out, and it drops 500 points. Well, that's $1 million loss. That's stupid, right? Out of control. So how do you get over it? You do a lot of trades. You spend a lot of time interacting with the market, and it matters less and less. For instance, when I used to play poker, travel out to Vegas, play poker, you have a finite amount of time to be in Vegas. You start to put a little bit more weight on your exposure at the poker table, meaning that if I'm getting dealt some hands, like I'm probably going to be opening up my range based on my position. Maybe under the gun, I'm going to have a wider range of hands I'm going to play because my time and exposure is going to be limited in the games that I can play in Vegas. Now that I live here, I don't have that feeling whatsoever. I'm going to play my game, and if I go a whole session with playing maybe 2 or 3 decent pots, win or lose, I feel good about it because I'm playing poker the way that I want to play it. And trading's much in the same way. Today, I'm probably not going to trade the Percy Jackson. I say probably because that's my intention. But if there's something, like I said, let's say the Trump tariff tweet comes out and he says, hey, Canada, we're going to drop it to 15%. I'm going to take that puppy dog along. But my intentions right now are probably not to trade my Percy in this market because I'm happy with what I made because I got a nice trade setup. I took it. It worked out. The end. I'm not sitting here beating myself up, getting frustrated over something that is out of my control. What's out of control? Out of my control, the market and the way that it's moving. I don't think that this market has been offering great setups because volume is lower. We're in summer doldrums. It's just not my type of market right now. Will the market become my market? Maybe it'll be 3 months from now. Maybe it'll be 3 days from now. Maybe it'll be 3 weeks from now. But I'll be here and I'll be ready for it. For instance, the NQ is rolling right now. I don't see this as a short. It's not my kind of trade. Simple as that. How'd that name get the Percy Jackson? I think it's, there was, gosh, who wrote that book? Stephen Druckenmiller wrote a book about personal accounts. And he talked about a man who was named Paul Jackson. And he was the pioneer of personal brokerage accounts. And he was the one who coined that nickname. They wrote this book back in 1921, mind you. And that's where the name came from. So I just adopted the name from Druckenmiller. Again, the book was written, I think it was 1889 was when the book was written. And he's the one who coined that phrase. Paul Jackson was the one who came up with that phrase, Percy Jackson. How much latency is there for you when you get the news alerts versus the algos? The algos will always get it before me, but I will get it generally before most retail people do. It is old. Yeah, it's one of my favorite lores of trading, and that's why I adopted the name Percy Jackson. So, volume indicator name, please. Of course. This is the visible range volume profile. These are my settings. You can pause the video and you can save the settings for yourself if you'd like to do that. There you have it. Trade the afterglow. Yes, I do love trading the afterglow. It's one of my favorite things to do. What do you do? What do you use to see news? Well, if you have, you can get cheap subscriptions to things like Benzinga. There's breaking news on Benzinga. There's economic calendars like Trading Economics, which I will share with you now, which is completely and totally free. There you go. Put this in chat for you. You can subscribe to Squawks, which are somewhat pricey for some. You can really blow your load and get yourself a Bloomberg subscription and have the Bloomberg app running if you want. For some people, it makes sense. For most people, it will not. But yeah, all sorts of ways to get the news. I would recommend finding a Squawk with a free trial and then discovering within 3 days that you hate it and you say, why did I even try this? How do you get the important lines on your chart? I use an indicator. First person ever asked this. I can't believe this. It's called Spaceman BTC Key Level. And you can get it on TradingView. If you type in Spaceman, and it'll come up Key Level, Spaceman BTC. But thank you. I've been actually, you know what's crazy? I've been streaming now for like 2 or 3 years. Not a single person. I've had this stream going for this long. You are the very first person who ever asked me that. And I've literally been sitting here waiting for that, which is crazy. How do you learn the fundamentals of Bookmap? You watch it every single day. It has a built-in recording function. And you can use those recordings by writing down the timestamp, right? You can write down the timestamp of things that happened during the day. Go back and watch those areas of the market and study them and see if there's anything that pops out, right? You remember somebody asked a few days? No, they were asking about something completely different there, Jay. You're wrong. I'm sorry. No, that was literally the very first person that has ever... Yeah, no, you're thinking about something completely different. Your memory is failing you. I'm sorry. No, I don't mark them out. That would require too much time. Hey, CubeQ, thank you for hooking up Lido there. Why don't I use Sierra charts? I used to, and then I switched to eSignal. eSignal was $900 a month. And it was actually really hard to break up with eSignal. I used eSignal for years and years and years and years. I broke up with it eventually, and I'm using TradingView. What's crazy is that I used to throw shade at TradingView, believe it or not. I used to hate TradingView because it was not as anywhere close as what it is now, but the polling rate is very fast now on TradingView. It's quite nice. And in fact, I execute on TradingView now, which is crazy work, right? Good morning to you. It flies. How are you? Rips, can you change that green line to Hello Kitty pink? Which green line? This one right here? Sure. In fact, I have nothing better to do right now. Is that Hello Kitty? That's more like Hello Kitty pink. And then we could do this. And this is the perfect song for it too. Wonderful. And then we'll change this. There you go. There you go. That's for you, Richard. Why don't we align that to the left there? To the right. There we go. That's better. There you go. That's for you, buddy. If you had to start from day one of trading, how are you doing it? I would probably tell myself, chill out and be way more patient, bro. And that's what I'd say. Could you possibly please see any drawings you currently have on the chart again? I mean, we drew all these. I'm going to refresh this next week. I'm hoping that liquidity will come back slightly next week. I'm not optimistic, but we should have some news that will move the market around next week. Not saying that we haven't had some great opportunities this week. In fact, let me check the old AMP report here. Let's see. This week, it's 14,000, 7,000, 1,000 after fees yesterday because, boy, that was expensive. And then today, up 9,500. So wait, let's see. Yesterday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. Yeah, this is actually a very successful week. Let's see. 14, 5, 7, 1, and then 9. We're up 31,000 this week. For a week that we did not really focus on pushing ourselves to trade as hard as we could, I think that's a pretty dang good week. 31,000. There you go. Good morning, Rips. Do you have any pre-market routine that you follow or dive into the market and repeat your edge like a sniper? I do try to push myself to visualize myself having good trades. One of the most powerful things, I think, one of the biggest cheat codes, one of the biggest hacks in life is visualization. And I'm going to lose a lot of you on this, and I don't really care because it works for me. I'm living proof that it works for me, but I like to visualize things as if they've already happened. So I'll put myself in a mental space. For instance, before I ever had a Lamborghini, I visualized myself inside of the dealership, what the leather smelled like, what the steering wheel felt like, what the top sounded like when it was opening and closing. And believe it or not, years later, I sat in that dealership and I had a feeling of deja vu because my projection of what I was experiencing hadn't happened yet until that exact moment where it converged and it felt like I had already lived that before. So I try to do the same thing in trading in the sense that if I have a really good trade, I'll lock into that feeling of what I had. I'll sit there and focus really hard on what the feelings I had when I had a really successful trade, when I was feeling really strong about my read on the market and how everything was developing in that trade. And I'll try to tap into that feeling and visualize it and push myself into this state of mind where I'm completely feeling that same vibration and that same energy that I was feeling when that trade existed. So having that kind of mindset will set me up and get me psyched up for the trading day. Outside of that, obviously, I'll do charting. I write a morning memo every single morning that goes out for free to all these brokerage houses. And doing that morning memo keeps me in check with, I'm watching all of the different levels on the Mag 7 chart. I'm looking at where equities are, why are they moving. I'm reading the news. I'm going through all of the news from the previous day, all of the news from the pre-market, anything that I missed, seeing if there's anything that changed, really accepting of what the macro environment is that we're in right now, focusing through all that. And then I come here. That's it. That's pretty much what my routine is. Some days I will not get it heavy into visualization. Some days I'll skip a lot of that. But on an idealistic day, that's what I do. Let's see here. Rips, is there an option to execute trades through Bookmap? Yes. I have not tried it, but yes. Well, about 2K and an XFA, good week. Very easy day looking for 300 then golf. There you go. Something happened there. Don't know. No idea. Have you ever seen a grown man naked? Every time I shower, I'm surrounded by mirrors, and I do see myself naked. Right at 1 hour bullish trend line at NQ since 624. Very nice. The secret law of attraction in a nutshell. But a lot of people don't believe in it, and I think it's ridiculous because I'm not going to go off the rails here, but hey, it works for me, so I'm going to keep doing it, you know? Rips, do you think the app would be faster than the web for TradingView? I use the app. I don't use the web version unless I'm on a laptop. And even then, I still have the app version. So, yeah. How much do you recommend a risk per trade on a 50K eval? If it's your very first time trading, you should be trading one single micro. And either the S&Ps, the NASDAQ, or whatever your product you're trading. You're wanting to trade index futures, the S&P and the NASDAQ are probably the most talked about and the most followed. It's going to be hard to find a group of Russell traders or Dow traders. They're few and far between. I would focus on trading either the NASDAQ or the S&Ps. If you're trading it on a CFD broker, that's going to be the US 100 and the US 500. You listen to Hans Zimmer right before the 6:30 opening every morning. There you go. Whatever gets your mind right. Thanks for appreciating my question on the key levels. Marking them out is time consuming. Does this automatically align them with different time frames? It does all of the work for you. You have to do nothing. You install the indicator, which is free. You turn on all of the settings that you want to have on. For instance, these are my settings. Right there. You can go back, pause the video if you wish. And that's it. Marks everything out for you. You can change the colors. You can do whatever you want. It's your world. What do you think of the law of detachment? Because I found the attraction works once you detach from the idea. I'm not familiar with it. You're going to have to, or I would know it by another way. I don't understand what you're talking about. The fact that thoughts have electromagnetic waves that are essentially tangible, not just visible, help me believe power of thoughts. I'm going to agree with you. I do. Wait, is Richard in kick now? Did he actually make it over? There's no way. I don't believe you. Interstellar, best movie of all time. It's up there. I do like it. What do you use to get your book map? I use Bookmap. There's a sale. Today's the last day for the July 4th sale. I'll go ahead and post the tweet that I posted about it. If you want to take advantage of it, great. I've never seen them really do sales like this before. So if you're looking at trying out Bookmap, I think it's worth it. But a lot of people are going to try Bookmap and hate it. I'm not one of those people. And there you go. Was it difficult for you to learn Bookmap? Yeah, it took me a year straight of having it open 8 to 12 hours a day. The way that I taught myself trading was parking my tuchus in my chair and being in front of the charts 8 to 16 hours a day. And literally that's it. Monday through Friday. I didn't learn to trade. When I say that, my first 3 years of trading, that was not trading Monday. Maybe a little bit on Thursday for an hour. And here came Friday. And I looked at the market for 10 minutes. No. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday as well, sometimes. A lot of charting work on Sundays, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 8 to 16 hours a day, depending on what was happening. Literally every single day. Because I'm stubborn and I have no quit in me. So essentially everything you said about attracting in the terms of deja vu, but the more you want something, the further away it becomes, so you detach, the blessings follow. I've never really focused on that type of thinking myself. The more I want something, for me personally, the more that I think about something, the more that thing happens. So I try not to think about bad things. I try to think about happy things. I try to think about good things. I try to, when I have thought about people, they tend to show up in my life. You know? I don't know. I disagree with that. I know exactly what you're talking about. But I feel like that's like the desperate mindset when you're really my bills are stacking up. I got to get this figured out or else I'm screwed. No, you're thinking about all the stressors, and that's what's getting into the way of your projections of positivity. So I think if you're like, I don't even want to be rich, that it's not going to show up. You need to focus on being rich, but you got to listen to the signals of what's coming around you. If you're desperate for things, they're usually not going to happen because you're so desperate and you're spooking yourself out. Bibsta says, ho, from Bali. Wow, how much? I get it, Kaz Cuts, and that's a very good point. But I think in this case, the difference is want versus unrealistic wishful thinking and negativity, 100%. Where can I learn more about visualization and how to do it? I don't know. Again, I'm self-taught on a lot of things. I'm really self-taught on most. I don't really know. I've had mentors along the way, but for the most part, I'm an autodidact and I teach myself everything. I really do. So I wish I had more resources. I can give you the books that I like about trading, but I don't really have any resources on visualization. I can just tell you what works for me, and I kind of went over it already. That's what works for me. We're still rinsing around here. By golly, this is some gross consolidation. Do you dedicate a time of day to do yours? And when is that for you personally, morning or night? I try to get it done in the morning, but there's a lot of times where since we moved to Vegas, I manifest a lot of my stuff when I'm out in the pool and I'm laying on that floaty because I'm completely weightless and I'm relaxed and my mind just opens up and I just flow. Not to mention I'm getting blessed by the rays of all that goodness. You know what I mean? So I find it quite easy to do out in the pool, weightless on a floaty. Whatever. Again, this is what works for me. I am a believer, yes. My thoughts are like my eyes in racing. Your car goes where your eyes go. Dude, it's so funny. Like if you're like, I've been on ride-alongs where somebody's like doing their first track day and it's like they're looking completely, like they need to be looking where the apex of the turn is or looking beyond the apex of the turn. And then the car is just kind of drifting more into the corner. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. So move to Vegas, manifest in the water, get rich, I'm in. Yeah, if only it was that easy. Yeah, abundance versus scarcity, 100%. That's why too, like, you know, when you do reach a level of success in your life, it does get marginally easier to be given more success or to be finding more success in your life because you have less stress. I think back to, you know, when I was growing up and I was filled with stress, but I had one dominating thought when I was growing up, and it was, I don't ever want to live my life like this. And that was powerful enough for me to push myself to be a crazy person. And no matter what, I'm going to figure out a way to be successful in my life. That was my driving factor of, I don't want to be like this. There's a lot of my friends who grew up very wealthy. A lot of my friends nowadays, a lot of them either trust fund kids, grew up very, very wealthy. They don't have a lot of drive because what's the point? They grew up in a situation where they never had to feel like they were under the gun or that the heat was creeping up behind them and nipping at their heels. A lot of them I know don't have much drive, and that's fine. But that's what it is. Should I get 3 100K accounts or 6 50K accounts? Depends on your budget and depends on how heavily you're going to trade. You could probably trade heavier on the 100K accounts, but if it's, why not just do one? Why not try one account? You know what I mean? Do you need to have multiple accounts? Are you ready for multiple accounts? I don't know. That's a question you're going to have to ask yourself. All right, YouTube. I think I'm going to wrap up the YouTube stream here, and I think I'm going to pop on over to Kick for the Friday stream. I do want to hear some tunes. I think that's what we're going to do. I think I want to wrap it up on YouTube, and I want to get over to Kick. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. If that's cool with y'all, that's what I think I'm going to do. Ribsmod, if you would, please drop that link there. Hop on over to Kick if you want to see us stream today. Probably going to stay live for quite some time. But I appreciate y'all tuning in. Sorry I didn't take any trades, but we had some great discussions today, which I think are some kind of valuable to some people, maybe. Who knows? Hopefully. But I'll see you folks over on Kick. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Have a blessed week. And if you are going to party, don't party too hard. Don't drink and drive. Call an Uber, call a Lyft. Take care, everybody. I'll see you over on Kick, and I'll see you folks back on YouTube. If you're just a YouTuber, see you back here on Monday. Take care. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.